Good day, everyone. My name is Arely Mariana Alvarado Bautista. I'm in sixth semester, Group A, and today I'm going to explain a little about this art movement called Dadaism. Well, as we have been seeing in our classes from the workshop of art and history and appreciation of art, art is a really important thing for us as human because it's a way of expressing what we want, what we are, and what we it is happening around us. So I think it's a really important thing to analyze and to see how important and how like movements are not only like, oh, let's do this, like they have a context, a history context, and that makes them do that. So I'm going to explain one of the most controversial ones, I think, because it's not really um well, it's not seen well by some artists. Let's change. So, what is actually Dadaism? Dada is an artistic and literary movement that began in Zurich, Switzerland. It arose as a reaction of World War One and the nationalism that many thought that had led to the war. So, as we know, World War One was like a really big change for people, and because of this feeling that we still have, but it's has been like in that moment was like really strong, is like the pertinence, like the feeling of being from somewhere. So like you have to feel proud of who you were, of where you were born, and that all that pride, let's call it like that, made people to start to want like more, and then start affecting others, that in so that causes the war. And because of that war, a lot of people were affected, a lot of people didn't have a place to go, were discriminated by the nationality. So Dadaism was like a movement that wanted to criticize that, like that's not right, that like they were tired of that. So what is the meaning? The term dada is a colloquial French term from a hobby horse, yet it also echoes the first word of a child, and these suggestions of childness and absurdity appealed to the group, who were keen to put a distance between themselves and the sobriety of conventional society. They wanted to be weird, like they don't want it to be like the normal human, or like, yeah, we are common. No, they want them to be seen like crazy, like weird, like they don't fit, like that kind of things. So they also appreciated that the word might mean the same or nothing in all languages, as the group was a boldly internationalist. As I say, they really hated the nationalism because they thought it was the cause of the war. So they were like, I don't care for where you come, we just want to express something. Like if you're German, Jewish, French, Russian, we don't care about that. We just care. We have the same feeling about how the war is really bad, so we want to change it by doing something unconventional. The main purpose, as I said, was both to help to stop the war and to vent frustration with the nationalist and Burgos convention that had led to it. The anti-authoritarian stance made for a protean movement, as they opposed any form of group leadership or ideology. Dada artworks present intriguing overlaps and paradox in that they seek to demystify artwork in the populist sense, but nevertheless remain cryptic enough to allow the viewer to interpret works in a variety of ways. So they wanted to break this like prestigious idea of art that only little or few could do. So they wanted like to break that, but not like to make it really like, oh look, this is, and make it to the viewer like really easy to understand. They wanted to still be like complex, to still be like when they saw the pieces, like what was he thinking, what was his purpose. But they just, the methods they used weren't the usual. They weren't like since beautiful for others that were like the critics of the art, the ones who talk about what was art and what was not art. uh, so they wanted to do like, what do you know about what it's art, like who can who can say that know what is it and what it's not art. So that's what like they were looking for. So a little of history, as I said, the beginning of the this movement was with the First World War, and Switzerland uh, it has been like the neutral country in all of the words, so that allowed to other people from other countries to seek for refugee in that country. So thanks to that, in Zurich, Hugo Ball and Emmy Hennings founded the Cabaret Voltaire on February 5th in 1916 in the back room of a tavern on Spiegelgasse in a city section of the city. So they wanted like a place where they could be themselves. Like they didn't the they did not have the need to think about what was happening. They just wanted like a place where they could be themselves. Like they could complain, they could shout and like express that they were mad about what the situation was. So then it started to spread around the country, around the place. uh, so for the artists in Zurich started publishing a Dada magazine and held art exhibits that helped spread their anti-war, anti-art message. Sarah founded Gallery Dada on Bahnhofstrasse, where theater Dada evenings were held along with art exhibits. Uh, Sarah, as I'm going to explain later, was thought as one of the founders of the Dada movement because of this, because he was one of the ones to wanted to spread the movement. Like he is not that known because of his art, but he wanted to like show the people what they were doing, to make people to like make them come with them or hate them. So that's what he was looking for, and one of the things that they do was to publish this um, magazine. And then it started expanding to a worldwide uh, territory. After the publishing of Data 5 and 4 and 5th event in April in 1919, which turned it into a riot, by the way, that it was perfectly plain, like that the event, it was, the main purpose was to make it a riot, so it was not a surprise for anyone. So the data after that started to spread into Germany, into other places of France, and into United States, uh, because of some of the artists that were in Switzerland, because of the war has ended. they started to go to another countries and say, "Oh, look, this is what we are doing," and they were like showing other artists, and these other artists were like, "Oh, I like it. I want to do that," and that's how it started to spread. Um, so now let's start about some artists of the movement. Here we have Tristan Tzara. Eh, he, as I said before, was considered the founder of Dada. His primary contribution was publishing manifestos outlining the call of Dada and circulating them to as wide an audience as he could. Like he wasn't that famous or like he was, but he is not that known because of his pieces, but because of how he worked to spread the movement, to get to people to know what they were doing, so like get them audience and all of that. He formulated the Dada Glove project intended to catalog data output across the world. So here we have a photo of Tristan Sara and a little piece of his work. And then we have Sosie Tauber Arp. She was a key figure in many of the important movements of the pre-World War II art scene in Europe, and was one of the most active figures in the Cafe Voltaire in Zurich. So she dedicated her career to breaking down static artificial boundaries between genders and forms and celebrating the creative energy such liberation released. So she was more like um liberalist. Like she was, as I said, fighting for what the war what brought, what another war was going to bring. So she started like trying to do something with through her art, and she was one of the most active from the group. And she, as most of the women, wanted to, or most of the women, I'm sorry, tried to make this um, difference between genders like resolved. He wanted to highlight them because of how it was. Art is really different from men, and for women to do the recognition is really different. So what she was trying to do was to show about that, like to break that and to like just stop differentiating between women or men and just to be art, like whatever. It didn't care what gender you have. Then we have, I think, the most no one is Marcel Duchamp. He rejected purely visual, or what he dubbed retinal pleasure, deeming it to be facile, in favor of more intellectual concept driven approaches to art making and, for that matter, viewing. So he really hated like all this art like was pretty or beautiful, because it was like for his he was like it was like just a pretty thing to see. It gives you like visual pleasure, but it didn't have like a really deep meaning. That he it was something like he really appreciated, he really liked, that it has something that made you think what was the artist thinking when it was doing it, or what was the feelings, what was all of that, and not just only a thing to like look pretty. So that was what he was aiming for, and by challenging the notion of what is art, his first ready-mades sent shockwaves across the art world that can still be felt today. So, what is a ready-mades? Ready-mades are like to grab things that you have. Like, I don't know, I have this notebook, I have these papers, and to just put them in a way that you say this is art. Like, just to grab something you have in a daily life and to put them and I don't know, to make them in some way that makes you like what are they doing, but you have what you want to express something, as we saw with teacher Daphne. They were like just put this photo of uh I don't know, the launch of someone, or the desk of work of someone, like it was a mess, but for they it was art because it was representing something that it was happening. So we have here an example of a piece of art. It was made by Hannah Husch, and it's a German artist, and the name of the art is Schnitt mit dem Küchenmesser Dada durch die letzte Weimarer Wirbelskulptursprache Deutschlands. In English, its name is Good with the Dada Kitchen Knife through the last Weimar Beer Valley cultural epoch of Germany. It's a collage, and it is known to be in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. So, what did she wanted to explain? The title reflects harsh, playful, and satirical approach to addressing the cultural and political climate of the Weimar Republic in Germany during the early 20th century. She wanted to express gender and identity, because she was known to explore the gender roles and identity in her work. The collage includes images of women in various contexts, challenging traditional gender stereotypes and expectations. As we saw, first of all, we have Germany. Germany that it's starting like it was the bad guy in both wars, and she wanted like make fun of all of that was happening, all of that hate, all of what war that was I don't know, this tense feeling it has or it was going on in Germany. So she said like, no, I'm going to laugh about it because dark humor, a lot of people have it. And as I said before, women are known because they want to break that line between uh, male and female, and between art, because she, and especially she wanted not just only in art but within its roles, like just stop having this like, oh, this work is for women, this work is for men. uh, so we know that that movement wasn't like, it isn't recently as some people say. It's really from before the this movement that tries to get equal opportunities for women, and most of the women's in that time they were fighting for it through art, like to show that they were like, they didn't have like this, they didn't like the how they were treated, what was that they only could do. So that's what they were uh complaining about. She also represents Dadaist spirit as a prominent figure in Dada movement, who's infused the college with the irreverent anti-establishment spirit of Dadaism. The juxtaposition of disparate images, nonsensical elements, and unexpected combination reflects the Dadaist ethos of artistic experimentation and subversion. So she wanted like, we have like complete Dadaism here. It's chaotic. You don't know what you're seeing. It has phrases, uh, letters of newspaper, photos, and it has all this mess. And it was like, yeah, that's actually what Dadaism is, like a mess, like to. do what for someone is nonsensical, for that for someone it's like that's ugly, because that was they wanted to you to feel like uncomfortable seeing they are, because that's what they were looking for. And we have here a quote from Tristan Tzara. Art has not the celestial and universal value that people like to attribute to it. Life is far more interesting. Dada introduced it into daily life and vice versa. So, as we have been saying here, um Dadaism wanted art not only to complain but to become something that everyone could do. Like to bring it to the daily life and not only be for someone privileged like before, and that only the people who had money could actually study for something, or people who had talent for it. And the Dadaism said like, no, everyone can do that. You just need to grab this, and that's art. So that's something I will give it to them, because even if speaking about it, I'm not really fond of this movement, but I think like that part of being like everything can be art and everyone can do art. For me, that's something that it's correct, because I think there is no people that was born to do it. Like it's just people that, yeah, maybe have like a little advantage at first because of abilities, or I don't know. But if you don't keep polishing that abilities, people who was born talented could like never be as good as someone that started practicing from the beginning and keep practicing and practicing. So that's something I will give to the dadas. And I'm sorry. And this image is the king and the queen surrounded by swift nudes for Marcel Duchamp in 1912. It's an oil on canvas. So that's all for me. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry if I got stuck in, in parts because I started stuttering too much. But I hope you liked it, and if you have some doubts or questions, leave them in the comment box. See you. Bye bye.